Yes, it does.
Okay, ready?
Yep, rolling.
Fire
Okay.
away. Knock it out.
What we have right now is we have two scenes working. The first scene is at 115 East Canino. That's about 2 or 3 blocks north of here, just over the county line. We had an undercover officer who was at a convenience store, he's in his vehicle at a convenience store, when he saw 3 masked males, some of whom were armed, get out of their vehicle and approach the convenience store. Clerk inside saw the same thing, so the clerk actually locked the doors to the convenience store so the suspects couldn't get in. The suspects, when they tried to enter the store, they found the doors locked, then turned around, and still masked and armed, got back into their vehicle. The undercover officer, knowing that an attempted robbery had just occurred, and also knew that he had a few fellow undercover officers in the area. So he radioed them that there was an attempted robbery and that this is the vehicle's description. We had 2 officers in an unmarked unit approaching the convenience store from approaching westbound on Canino when they saw the suspect vehicle, the Ford F-250, actually strike their fellow officer's vehicle while attempting to flee. To one of the officers, that actually the sound was so loud it sounded like a gunshot. So they stopped their vehicle, realizing it was a big truck approaching them. They weren't going to win a head-on collision with the Ford 250 that was barreling at them. The officers attempted to get out of their vehicle, and at that point in time, they saw the driver actually had a pistol pointed at them on the steering wheel as the driver's approaching them. So fearing for their safety and believing that a shot had already been fired at one of their fellow officers, they both discharged their duty weapons more than once, striking the vehicle. The Ford 250 then continued past them, eastbound on Canino, where a second officer was approaching. He heard on the radio that shots had been fired. He actually heard the shots because he was only a block or so away. He stopped his vehicle. He's also in an unmarked vehicle. Everyone is wearing their tactical raid gear, however, to identify themselves as police officers. He stopped his vehicle, and at that point in time, the Ford 250 was approaching him with the driver now waving the gun out the driver's side window. He's heard shots being fired at fellow officers, or what he believes at fellow officers. He doesn't know whether the driver is going to shoot at him in his raid gear, identifying him as a police officer, or fire back at the officers that he has just now passed, or that the suspects have just now passed. So that officer then discharges his duty weapon. The suspect vehicle then continues to flee through the neighborhood. Marked units are called in. They pursue it to this location here, 7313 Northline, where the vehicle crashes and all 3 suspects are taken into custody. It's our understanding that one of the suspects may have some minor abrasions. At this point in time, it's not known if they occurred because of broken glass or how they occurred, but nothing at all serious.
And did you all recover the weapons and stuff too?
We've recovered at least 1 weapon. It's our belief that the suspects, we're still searching obviously processing the scene behind me, but there's the possibility the suspects may have thrown some weapons out during that short pursuit through the neighborhood. So we would ask anybody in the neighborhood who obviously runs across a weapon, maybe in a ditch or somewhere on a lawn or something like that, to immediately notify police.
How long was the pursuit once they bailed here?
It was a very short pursuit. I mean, it's like I say, the initial scene is only a couple blocks from here. It was a short pursuit through the neighborhood and ending.
Did they bail from here and run, or did they just stay in the vehicle?
All I know at this point in time is that they crashed and that the marked units who were pursuing them were able to take them into custody without incident.
You know, if these earlier there was 3 men the county was looking for in home invasion, and I think Hpd had another chase this morning where they shot at somebody. Any of these guys related to any of these other calls?
I don't believe they're going to be related to any of the Hpd cases. I couldn't tell you if they're related to anything the county may or may not have worked. Obviously, when you have something like this, we're going to interview them, and robbery investigators are going to do the follow-up interviews, and with witnesses from other crimes, just to see if they may be related to something else, and that's just standard procedure.
Because these guys are pretty brazen, masked in daylight, firing at officers.
9:50 in the morning. They're armed, approaching the convenience store, while masked. Obviously, the belief is that they were intending to rob it. That was the belief of the clerk, as well as the officer who saw it. And then from there, they rammed an officer and were waving a gun at another officer and pointing his gun at 2 other officers.
But the suspects never fired a weapon.
That's our understanding at this time.
And
But
what
we
about-
are interviewing them now.
Once here, there was some talk about they may be trying to hide in an apartment or maybe jump into somebody's car. Did any of that happen? Was there any?
Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to talk to any of the marked units who were here because the officers who discharged, the undercover officers, are up at the other scene, and that's where I was. So I can't tell you the specifics of what happened here. All I know is that they were taken into
And
custody.
no officers injured.
No, there were no officers injured, very fortunate.
Do you have names of the suspects?
I don't.
Descriptions?
All I know is that they are 3 black males. As I say, they're being interviewed, and from there it'll be up to the district attorney's office based upon what we gather in the course of our investigation as to what charges may be filed.
Truck stolen?
The truck was stolen, yes.
Any idea where it was stolen from or what area?
I do not.
Or when?
I do not. But it was stolen vehicle, so when you speak about charges, those are possible charges. You have potentially assault on a peace officer, you have felony evading for fleeing the marked units that are pursuing them, and obviously somebody was driving a stolen vehicle.
Now we can't see it though. Are there bullet holes in the front of that truck from the officers where they fired?
I haven't walked up there to see, but my understanding is that the officers who discharged, at least some of them believe that they did strike the truck.